Yeah, so just again, welcome to the April 2022 annual, can't even speak today. Welcome to the April 2022 Southall Community Forum, Southall Matters Forum. My name is Sufyan Abdul Kayyum. I'm the chair for tonight, alongside Joe Bangu and Angela Fonzo hosting. I am also a candidate for the May 2022 elections. Standing in the Green, where I live. And but politics aside, let's get started with this. So does anyone have any issues over the last month or over the last couple of months which they want to discuss to start off with, whether that's parking or so on and so forth? Anyone, the floor is open. Anyone? Yeah, no, go for it.
I've just received my consultation for the youth centre site on Parkview. It's a bit blurry, can't see it. So that's out now. Redevelopment at Parkview Road. It's one of these really biased consultations. So, you know, it says things like 59 residential dwellings with 1 to 3 bedrooms, blah, 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 available at London affordable rent and for shared ownership. And the question is, do you support new affordable homes for the community?
Right.
So talk about
just on the youth centre. So the YAC was closed down. When did we go to the meeting, Ange? I've lost track of month. March?
A while ago now, isn't it?
It's either February or March. Yeah.
February. I would say February.
Yeah.
We went to one consultation. Yeah, it was just before it was just before I got ill. So yeah, it would have been February and March. They had a very biased consultation controlled by predominantly white middle class individuals.
I did see some of it.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, to be chaired by white individuals, but the demographic didn't show Southall. And the forum was held, not the forum, but the consultation was held in such a way where it was controlled by 2 people, Mr. Ian Jenkins and his colleague, I believe her name was Karen.
Karen.
It was such a consultation where me as a youth, I wanted to speak up. I did speak up a couple of times, and the third time I tried to speak up, Karen said to me, well, do you know what, you've had your turn, let someone else speak. So they went to a lovely young girl who was part of another youth group in somewhere else, and she gave Karen quite a mouthful, but in a polite way, and she stood up for herself. And that is the sort of people we are. The future of Southall is very vocal. Like we were in the 70s, the youth in the 70s, the youth now is very vocal, and I'm one of them, and I'm proud to say that. It's not a case of, they call it a consultation. This is what I said. I work in a GP practice. A consultation with a doctor is one-on-one. Yeah, or you can have a panel against an audience and have a 2-way conversation. This is not a consultation. This decision was taken 3 years ago when they applied for funding. So I asked the question, as Angela might remember, I said, if the money was already being proposed, why not tell us that actually you're looking for money for a plot of land? So that way you have 3 years to plan where you'll move to the YAC. But now you've closed down a YAC. We don't have a youth centre in Southall. The nearest youth centre, I believe, is in Ealing. And even that, people don't feel safe to travel in Southall.
And it's not really a proper youth centre either. It's more about kind of engaging young people in like activity, education and training. Exactly. And there's a lot of computers there. It's like not your traditional, I mean, I'm an ex-youth worker. So, I'm very much into the kind of just provide a space, help the young people develop whatever interests they want to develop. Just it's a safe space with some appropriate adults around that belongs to the young people.
Yeah, and they said Dormers Wells. They proposed Dormers Wells. Now, I grew up on Golf Links Estate, where Dormers Wells hub is.
Yeah.
That'll just be temporary, though. Don't forget that.
Well, they're talking about 2. There's one. They're talking about splitting it over the
Dominion Centre,
Dormers Wells Hub and the Dominion Centre.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't. you know, this is on my doorstep, so this is in my back garden basically. So I back onto the youth centre at the moment, and you know, one of the things I'm concerned about is the green space there, because you know, for one, there's an enormous, really old walnut tree in there, and it's full of wildlife. They're not even mentioning what they're going to do with the trees in that space. They're saying they're going to redevelop the green space so that it's friendly for families and kids and so on, which is, you know, great, give them some space. But there's 59 flats there. It's going to be, you know, I suspect they're going to chop down all the trees, and you know, we're going to, you know, our wildlife's going to suffer for one thing, let alone how many flats do we need in Southall?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, chock-a-block without
is
the infrastructure to support.
How many flats do you know? How
losing-
many flats have been built or are being built in Southall?
well, I'll just tell you a full developments I know of within a mile. So there's the Green Quarter, which is Berkeley route.
Yeah.
Park Avenue developments. There's then just trying to think. There's
Southall Market.
Yep, Southall Market has gone.
There's going to be a development on the corner where the roundabout is in Southall Green, the old Barclays Bank building.
The Hamber Tavern.
Yeah, but there's so many.
The Honey Puff Factory.
Oh yeah.
7 blocks are going to be built there.
Yeah. Merrick Road's already gone.
Yeah.
It's 1,000.
Yeah, so I mean, there's one too many.
I'll
pass over to Will. I believe he's got his hand up.
Well, yes, Sophia, thank you. It's a much bigger number actually than you're talking about. And if it would be helpful, we do have. I'm gate crashing this a bit from Ealing Matters, and I hope you don't mind me doing that. And I would say, just to introduce, Libby did ask me to join in to report back, so that's why I'm here, and I hope I'm okay being here. But just in answer to your question, there's thousands of flats, and if it would be helpful to you, we can give you those figures, because I think you will be amazed when you see how many flats they've approved.
I think we need the figures. Thank you. Well, we need the figures so that we can argue against each of the new developments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you're more than welcome to say. I mean, this is a community forum. It's open to everyone, no matter regardless of where you're from. This is an open forum. But I'm going to pass on to the chair, Mr. J.S. Bang, who's joined us. So, Joe, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah, good evening. How you doing? Let me just stop the dog. 1 second. Hello, come. Hello, come.
Cute dog.
Hello, come. Go inside.
The dog's in charge, Joe.
Hello, come. Hello, come. Go on, inside. Good boy.
Joe's still there?
Sorry about that. Happy just turned up, and obviously the dog doesn't know Happy, you see.
Oh,
Good evening to everybody. How you doing?
Very well, Joe.
very
Good evening, Joe.
Good evening. Nell, haven't seen you for yonks. Where you been
Oh,
hiding?
I know. I've been so busy. I've been ill, and I've been setting up a business and trying to make some money. But I've been following everything.
Well done, well done.
Yeah, and well done, you
your
guys, for
cameras off,
standing as
just to let you
independents.
know.
Brilliant.
It's about time now somebody put their foot down with these people,
Definitely.
because they've had it too good for too long, haven't they? Really, 40, 50 odd years. Labour Party in Southall.
Joe, your
Yeah.
camera's off. You might want to turn your camera on.
Yeah, let's see your face, Joe.
Oh, you want to see my face?
Yeah, come on.
Nothing changes with Joe.
We all get a bit
you see
older,
me?
don't we?
Can you see me?
Hello.
There's a
Yeah.
Happy sitting next to me.
Hello.
Hi, Happy.
How you, sir?
No, the response is enormous. Fingers crossed. I think something is coming. I got this feeling. I mean, coming back from work today, two of the residents on my street pulled me over, and they were telling me that they had the Labour Party candidate come along, and they just asked them one simple question. All the time, all we get is promises and then once you get our nomination, we never see you again. So they've done it to themselves. They've destroyed the trust of the residents. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
The trust is not left there no more.
The trust hasn't been there for many, many years. It's just getting worse and worse, isn't it? And I, you know, even when I was working within the council, I would say that a lot. You know, the Southall doesn't trust the council. You know, you need to build trust, but you know that didn't help with my career prospects.
How long were you there for, Nell, in the council?
About 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
4 years, yeah. What sort of department?
I can't really talk about it because we're going to be on YouTube, aren't we?
Top secret.
Another time.
Yeah.
Official Secrets Act.
Just going back to the whole housing, there isn't the infrastructure to support the number of potential newcomers.
No.
I was saying to, I think it was Southall, I struggled to get an appointment with my GP, and they don't seem to offer face-to-face appointments unless the GP themselves make the appointment. And all I was told, the doctor will phone you back. The receptionist couldn't tell me whether it was AM or PM, which made it very difficult, actually. And in the end, I think I stayed at home because I thought if I go out and they ring on my mobile, chances are I probably won't hear my mobile. And when I explained what the situation was, it was for my daughter, she received a referral. And then I said, oh, could I also discuss this? And the doctor was, no, I've got lots of paperwork to do. And so I said, okay, I'll phone back tomorrow. So I rang back the following day, exactly the same thing. The doctor will ring you back. And I said, well, could you tell me what time they'll be ringing? They couldn't tell me that. Could you tell me whether it's morning or afternoon? It's just completely open-ended. Yep. And my worst fears came to light. I missed the phone call. So when I realized I missed the call, I rang the surgery back and they said, well, the doctor will call you. And they didn't return the call. It seems a real struggle. And I think unless you speak to the doctor, you cannot see the doctor face to face. And
no wonder our life expectancy is so much lower than Northfield's, eh?
Yeah.
Come in there, and just shed some light on that. Right. So with a GP, I work for a GP practice as a medical secretary on behalf of the Northwest London Trust. So I deal with phone calls every day where people want to see doctors face to face, and we tell them the exact same thing. We'll have a phone call initially. If the clinical staff thinks it's safe to do so, they'll screen you over the phone and then bring you in to the practice, and they'll invite you in themselves. Now, with that, saying that, that's all well and good saying it over the phone. I've done my job. Everyone's happy. Doctor's happy. I'm happy. Patient's not happy though. Why? Because I'll give you a case in example. I had a there was a patient. This was not in our practice, in another practice, where they had a lump behind in their chest, a lump around their chest area, and they were told apparently, yep, you'll get a phone call from the doctor. Doctor didn't ring. They rang back the next day. Sorry, doctor, full. They rang back the next day. Doctor's full. They went straight to A&E, waited 7.5 hours, as per usual in A&E. It turned out the lump was cancerous. So, if that patient didn't go to A&E, how many days would they have gone without knowing? Because cancer, every day, I'm pretty sure, I've had loved ones die of cancer. It's not a nice thing. Cancer's around, we know it. Quicker to treat it, really find it. Now, it's just things like that. Now, if someone wants to see their GP face to face, ask the GP the question. Yeah, ask your GP the question. Yeah, if it's for a minor ailment such as a cough or cold, yes, maybe yes, you can do it over the phone. But if it's for things like that, you can you should push for it. You should push for an appointment face to face. And if they say no, get the practice to email you. Get the surgery to email you. No, you can't have a face to face, and these are the reasons.
No, but
Okay.
Sophie, the point now is that COVID-19 is over.
Yes, this is it.
So-
This is
so
exactly
why
what
aren't
patients use. Now, let me explain. So COVID-19 is far from over, Joe. Yeah, I'll mention that in a second. So COVID-19 might be over in the sense that, yes, face coverings aren't mandatory. Hand sanitizer is not mandatory. Social distancing is not mandatory. Fair enough.
Yep.
But the virus is still around. There are cases in this borough sky high. In London, cases are still sky high, but because there's no social distancing, not even social distancing, self-isolation, sorry. I've got family who work for 119. I used to work for 119. They're shutting 119 down in a couple of weeks. This is the government.
No, but the question I'm asking is, why can't doctors see their patients? It's a simple question.
No, so
what is the excuse?
What's the excuse is COVID-19. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm far from a doctor.
But COVID-19 is over.
It's not though, Joe. Yes, it might be over in terms of the
we've been told
social distancing.
The government.
No, it's not over though. This is the thing. They might not be. It's not as big as anymore. In terms of, it's not the infection rate's not as high. But if you actually read about the figures over the last, say, 2 months since the regulations have laxed, you'll get a shock of your life, Joe. So it's not over.
No, but what I'm saying is the government is not telling us to cover our faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not telling us to keep distance, social distance.
Yeah.
What excuse are the doctors using? It's a very simple question.
Have you heard immunity? Sorry, carry on.
Joe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think the problem is? I think doctors are looking at it as a good excuse to not see patients. I mean, I'm very lucky. My doctor's surgery, if I ring up, they ring me back the same day, and 9 times out of 10, I will get in to see them that day. And I think it's really dependent on the doctor's surgery.
100%.
And secondly, I talk to a lot of people in Southall as well. And the problem is, I think a lot of doctor surgeries around here are taking on so many patients because they get paid for every patient that they have on their books, probably. And the problem is, with all these new flats going up, they're taking on more and more patients, and then they don't have the capacity to see the people. I had a friend I work with who lives on the new buildings down by the station, and it's taken her 2 years to see her doctor, 2 years to have a face-to-face with him. So she went in there last week to see him, told her about her ailment. And they said, oh, boy, also, while I'm here, can I talk to you about this? And he said, no, I can only talk about one ailment with you. You need to ring up and make another appointment.
Yeah,
So
same thing happened to me, Joe. It's not a holistic approach at all.
So on the patient thing, right, in 3 practices I work for, one practice has 2,000 patients. I mean, it's a very small practice. It's in the same building. In the same building, I work for another practice with the same doctor. Over, I think it's 10,000 patients we've hit, over 10,000. Yep. Now
they get £500 a patient.
No, it could be more.
Probably more.
So, yes.
How much do they get paid, Sofian? How much do they get paid per patient? Hey?
I'm not too sure, Joe. I'll be honest with you. I'm not too sure.
Someone told me in the 90s, Jan, Angela, they said it was about £3,000 per patient in those days.
Per patient? I don't think that's true, Joe.
3,000 a year.
I don't know. But just hearing what Jan said, people are going to end up dying prematurely. Because how can a doctor say, you know, I can only see you about this one ailment, you're going to have to book another appointment.
But that
when the symptoms may be connected to one particular condition.
Yeah, so that
For example, I've got, you know, a pituitary
Do
issue.
you want to hear something?
So I can say, well, I've
Do you
got a
wanna hear some-
headache
Yeah.
and blurred vision, but
Yeah.
they're all connected to the same pituitary condition. So if the doctor said to me, well, well, I can only see about your headache, not about your blurred vision, then people are going to end up with more serious conditions.
Yeah, so
And I think with a lot of men in particular, I'm thinking of my dad, he didn't really want to trouble the GP, but if that's the approach, if, when he got an appointment, well, I can only consult
My dad had
you
both of those and he
about this
died.
one particular, sorry, I can only advise you on this one particular condition. I just think we're going to see more premature deaths. But I want to bring Jean in because Jean's had her hand up very patiently for a long time. So, Jean, can you unmute? Or shall I do it?
Yeah.
I think she's breaking up.
Hi, Jean. Lovely to see you. Jean, I think you have to unmute yourself. Let's see if I can.
No, and you don't do it. She needs to.
Yeah.
Can I do it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, Jean.
Is that right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in Seattle, seeing my son. So I thought I would drop in very quickly. But one of the things I'm interested in really is finding out about why there is such a lack of infrastructure. Because if the problems are bad enough now, you've all been describing how they are so bad about seeing GPs. There's a problem with recruiting GPs, I think, certainly in London, in many areas, early, moving to the country, I don't know. But is there any way in Ealing to get any information from Peter Mason about, if they're putting all these flats up as they are they even trying to increase the number of services like GP services? I mean, can we find that information out at all? Does anybody know?
We can do an FOI, Jean. Freedom of information. We can write a letter to Ealing Council.
According to the internet, a GP practice in 2019 to 2020 got £155 per patient on the books.
What?
Yeah, that's in 2019/20.
They're not telling us the truth.
Yeah, I read what I read in a newspaper.
Yeah.
That's not accurate, and that's I would say that's accounting, PricewaterhouseCoopers creative accounting.
They get additional money. They get additional money for different things that they do. So depending on how many cervical screenings, for example, or how many smoking cessation conversations they have, how many health checks they do, they get extra money for each one of those. So it all adds up. So the 155 will be basic.
That's what they just get for having them on their books.
Yeah, so that might be the flat rate, but then if you've got, say, diabetes, or you've got arthritis, or there's that sort of a tick box, not a tick box, I would say, but it sort of hits a threshold. So it's something called QOF. So we have to hit a certain target for every year. So for example, we've got to hit, say, these are figures I'm making up now, they aren't true figures, say 80% smear tests, which are cervical cancer smear tests, 80% referrals for diabetic patients to nutrition or dietitian to sort out their diet. Say 20%, we've got to catch. So say we've got to catch 90% of cancer diagnosis. When all of these alerts are very scary, because this is why I wasn't really around much in April. A lot of pressure comes onto us in admin, because if we don't hit those alerts, practice loses money. And when the practice lose money, doctors lose money, and therefore the practice as a whole organization reevaluate the whole year, and then they decide obviously what happens. But it's not that it's a very well it's not even a very well thought out thing, because if somebody says to you that for religious reasons they can't, for cultural reasons rather, not religious, they don't want to do a smear test, Because at the end of the day, if you look at our demographic in this area, we're predominantly Asian, Black, and Brown. Yep, in this area in Southall. So if my patients don't want to come in and have a smear test, I don't push them. I give them, I just have to read out a sheet of paper, a declaration. They don't want to have it, they just have to sign something, and off it goes to the doctor and let them deal with it. But where it becomes an issue is where you have people, and it's happened with me and colleagues of mine, where we get, for example, I had, but during the COVID vaccines, that's a perfect example. The booster vaccinations, it was a vial of 24, I think. No, sorry, 12. Now, if we got 13 patients in, practice would lose £150 per vial. So we had to fill up those extra 11 slots. And if we didn't fill them up, we will be questioned by the doctor. So it's a lot of, there's a lot of stress. But I mean, a lot of, but I mean,
the money is obviously more important than serving national health, serving patients, because they can suffer as long as the practice doesn't make money, right?
Exactly. This is the thing. But the doctor I work for, she's very good. She's not fussed about. I mean, where I work for, in one of the practice, she's very good with it. She's not fussed about money. She stays extra hours if she needs to. And it's very reassuring to have her as a doctor there, because she's, and my GP especially, they're very good, because I've got underlying issues. When I was in and out of hospital every day, my GP was right there on the phone whenever I needed her. And hence why I now work for the NHS, because I knew how much I needed it in the times of my needs and my health. That's why when I see a patient suffering, I turn around and I go to the doctor directly. I'm like, look, if that, I get, obviously we can't have a sentimental connection with everyone, but prime example, if you have patients asking for an urgent referral for something which is genuinely urgent, yeah, and they can't go private because they can't afford it, simply because private healthcare is quite pricey. I've looked into it. It's very pricey, especially if you've got underlying issues, because private healthcare, doctors don't want to know if you got loads of issues. If you got no issues, they'll take you on happily, because they make a hell of a lot of money seeing a patient privately, believe you me. Now, there's been issues, and I've said to them, look, it's not about, yes, cool, it might cost us £3,000-4,000 to do this, but it could save someone's life. To save a life is priceless. Yeah. To lose. When I've lost a relative recently. The whole family teared apart. I wasn't even, by relation, I wasn't even close. But when we lost her, it hit me, it hit the whole family very hard. And that was all done by neglect of the NHS, solely neglect. So where I see it firsthand, and I work for the NHS, I do try it. I only can do so much. And yeah, hopefully one day, if I decide to, I will go down doing a course, becoming a healthcare professional, and then making a change, because I see it like you've got certain individuals, they're too busy, then they don't even have time for their professional work. Then they want to do outside work, and you say, well, you can't even do.
It's a business.
It's a business.
Being a doctor is a business, okay?
100%.
The question that we said to Ealing Council and to Berkeley Group in 2010, the infrastructure is clearly not there for the mass.
100%.
People moving into Southall, the infrastructure clearly isn't there. I said to people, there will be a time when you ring an ambulance and the ambulance will go to the child before it goes to an adult, and I'll put money on that. I'll say the same again.
Okay, let me just...
Joe, can I just come in? Because what I noticed I believe the doctor's called Dr. Mangat, and the surgery on Beaconsfield Road has closed down. Yeah, it's the nearest one to the gasworks site. And you've got all these newcomers, and a local surgery has shut down. And, you know, I just think there should be, in reality, if all these people have been brought into the area for these new developments, there needs to be an expansion of services. And what I know about Ealing Hospital doesn't have maternity services other than an early pregnancy unit.
Okay,
we don't have a pediatric ward anymore because my neighbour's son, whenever he has an asthma attack and the ambulance turns up, they say, do you want to go to West Mid or Hillingdon Hospital? So the local hospital really is not providing the range of services that you would expect.
Yeah, and just about
population and the increasing population in Southall. Can I just quickly finish? Because, you know, I have to go to Charing Cross Hospital. In actual fact, I spend more time at Charing Cross Hospital, Hammersmith Hospital, Western Eye Hospital, and St Mary's, because I've been referred to Charing Cross Hospital, because there isn't the specialism for my condition. But in saying that, I was at Ealing Hospital probably about 4 years ago for an ultrasound, and there was an elderly couple there waiting, and they travelled all the way from near Northwick Park Hospital, so they were in Harrow. And if you are going to have an ultrasound done in your bladder, you have to drink a certain amount of water. And I really felt sorry for this elderly gentleman that had a bladder and had to sort of hang on until it was his turn to have his ultrasound. And it's just shocking, really, that people are expected to travel quite far for fairly routine diagnostic work. And
I'm just gonna
never go to Northwick Park Hospital. My father died because of them. I went there a year afterwards. I'm sorry, Sufian. I went there 1 year afterwards on the day that my father died. I stood there quietly. I saw these people sitting around doing nothing. I saw an elderly English lady, just like Jean, saying, please, I just want to see the doctor and go home. And I watched when my father was lying on his deathbed quietly with a friend of mine, Suki. And I left about an hour later. I just went there to observe quietly. And I said to the healthcare professional, because there was an ambulance driver that came in, and he said, what are you doing? He said, nothing, I'm just sitting around. And that lady was pleading with the staff. I didn't see one doctor for 1.5 hours. And I said to that person before I left, I said, no, let me finish, because it's a very deep thing. I said, make sure you let her see a doctor and go home. Otherwise, I'll make sure you lose your job. Because I feel very strongly about this. Then I went outside to A&E. Then I almost tripped over on some, because I can't see properly, on some vomit that's there. Never go to Norfolk Park Hospital. They're better off coming to Ealing. Sorry, Sophie, and after you, please continue.
Right, okay, so I was at Ealing Hospital a couple of weeks ago because my aunt has got an underlying issue, and she couldn't breathe at all. She couldn't breathe. She was hyperventilating. So I called 999 immediately because I came home from work. I was staying at my aunt's at the time, and I saw her. She was holding her chest. I go, what's happened? And she goes, I can't breathe properly. So I rang the ambulance immediately. Yeah, it's about a 3.5 hour wait. I go, number one, this is a Cat 1 call. I work for the NHS. I know exactly what policy is. This is a Cat 1 call. You need an ambulance here within 22 minutes. Within 22 minutes, that's still too long, but it was quicker than they go, sorry, go to A&E then. So I was like, okay, I'll jump into a cab. And if anything happens to my aunt, make sure this call is logged. So I'll be suing. And believe you me, I will sue. And then ended up at Ealing Hospital, got to reception. I said, I've just called 999 and 111. They've logged the call. You should see a reference number. I've got the reference number if you need. Gave them the reference number. They go, this call's not logged. Mess up number one. She got screened initially, temperature and blood pressure. Okay, for a chest pain, temperature and blood pressure, I don't see the point. But all right, blood pressure maybe, because it could be to do with your heart, but temperature, I couldn't really see the point, but fair enough, that's screening. But before we even got to this, I walked into Ealing Hospital. My cousin's a qualified nurse. If anything happens to her mum, she can do something a lot quicker than doctors will take to run because there's one doctor on call. So she and myself, sorry, Anshul, hang on. You're gonna mute Sagar?
There's got to be Sagar.
I knew it. I knew it.
I've
Yeah.
muted him.
Yeah, no, so as soon as I entered, security pulled me, goes, oh, you're not allowed to be in here. I go, right, number one, who are you? He goes, I'm security. I go, right, show me your security license and I'll leave happily. Yeah, because a great colleague of mine told the SIA protocol.
SIA.
And they have to display their badge in some form. So he refused to give me his SIA license. So I go, right, get a doctor to come to me and say, I have to leave and I'll leave. And this is all documented with the police because they call the police. I'll get to that. But then I walked into the hospital with my cousin and her mum, and I sat there and wasn't saying anything to anyone, minding my own business, asking my aunt if she needed anything, getting her water, whatever she needed. I then said to the doctor, I said to the receptionist, can you get a doctor to see her urgently? Her chest is killing her. She doesn't know what's going on. She's very scared. Because yeah, it's 5.5 hours. So I go, that's fine. Please write that down on a piece of paper and give it to me.
Okay.
At this point,
Sufyan, can we please move on? The situation now is this. The people who own their properties, or the residents who own their properties in Southall, they're complaining about the properties that are rented. The landlords are not looking after them. The grass is growing in, very tall in the back garden. They're complaining about rats. These are the sort of issues that I've been talking to residents about after work today. Now, something has to be done because you got private dwellings, and then you've got a house on each side which is rented. And those poor people have worked all their lives to pay for their properties. And two of these gentlemen today told me that when they speak to the landlords, the owners of the properties, they don't want to know. They don't want to do any clearing up. They don't want to spend any money. And I think this is something that we should be looking forward. We have to come up with an idea, because certainly Ealing Council and councillors like Mr. Dinser, Jasbir Anand, Peter Mason, they don't care about the issues of Southall. Okay, Southall's becoming to be a ghetto. Yeah. All right, maybe that's their idea. Then tomorrow they can compulsory purchase everybody's property and build flats. So we don't want to fall into. So we don't want to fall into that trap.
Plus,
so
Joe,
I think,
all the properties in the back gardens, isn't it? I mean, yes, you've got the, like, I'll give you an example in my road. You still got a lot of private people owning their houses down here. But what the landlords are doing, they are converting houses into like 6 apartments within a house, but they're also building in the back gardens.
Yeah, the sheds.
Yeah, and it is just
beds and sheds. Beds and sheds.
Disgraceful.
Yeah, but these are all the people.
It is shocking, actually. It makes me wonder, Jan and Joe, about the licensing scheme, because I thought that was supposed to tighten up on rogue landlords. And I would have assumed there would be more spot checks to ensure that people are compliant with the requirements of the licensing scheme.
I think it's only it's for HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, and I think the definitions of HMO, it's quite a high criteria, quite a high number of people that need to be living somewhere for it to be defined as an HMO. But I think there are a lot of properties in Southall that are HMOs that the council don't know about being HMOs.
But with the licensing, my uncle owns 2 properties on Leonard Road, where he owns 3, including his house. He's had to get what's called a selective license for both his rented properties. He lives in one of his properties.
Okay, what's that?
It's called a selective license. So now all landlords have to pay. I think he paid I think it was like £500 for the initial license.
Any property in
Yeah.
Southall Green, south of Broadway, any property that's rented out either to a family or as individual rooms has to have a license. It was a new licensing law that Ealing Council brought out about maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I've got a leaflet. I don't know if anybody else got this leaflet for their letterbox not that long ago. Oops. And, you know, it's given the impression that most houses will have to be licensed in Southall.
But what does that mean? What do they have to do to get a license? Because I've got a situation over the road from us at the moment. We wanted to put a skip on this the landlord's land over the road, but it was full of mattresses and rubbish and all of that. But he's basically has refused. We offered to clear it for him if he paid for the skip, but no, he's just blocking us basically. So. You know, the more and more people keep coming out of that house. I've counted, I think, about 10, 12 already.
the selective license, what
do they have to do to keep this selective license? How often is it reviewed?
Every 5 years, but
5 years.
The first 3 years are very stringent. They can
So
take
what?
They're just milking the
Money making.
They're just milking the landlords basically. What my argument is, and this is what I said. First letter goes out now, 14 days, okay? If it's not rectified within 28 days, yeah, the following week after that, there's a case in the magistrate's court. It's very simple.
Yeah.
What is rectified? What sort of things can we ask them to rectify against their licenses?
Let's say your landlord, who's got mattresses everywhere, yeah? He gets a letter and he's told within 14 days to rectify it, clean it all up, yeah? Or you got a neighbor who's got a rotten garden with rats in it, yeah? Then he's given a letter, 14 days, get that garden cleaned up, yeah? Then you give him another 28 days, okay, to rectify it. If it's not rectified, the week after that, he's pulled up in the magistrate's court. It's very simple. If you want to behave humane, the
People
Labour
need to
Party
know this stuff, don't they?
Yeah, the Labour Party themselves, they want friends. They don't want to be humane. They need the votes. So they will not tidy up South. It's only today, David made a lovely video today where he's gone around and all the streets are spotless. Well,
Yeah.
that's our hard work.
They picked up the tree. They picked up the tree today.
That's our hard work. So they know that there's
temporary
somebody
measure, though.
with a drum. Sorry?
A temporary
Sorry,
measure
Ange?
before the election.
No, but Ange, what I'm saying is they know somebody's on their back now, okay? Someone's kicking their butt, right? Now, this has never happened in South. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So we're a force to be reckoned with. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah,
They're
most
under pressure.
definitely.
They've realized, yeah, they've had it too good, too long they've had it so good.
Mm.
And now they know there's a force to be reckoned with. Look, I was talking to these gentlemen this evening, and this is what they said to me. They said, Joe, your votes are guaranteed. He said, your votes are guaranteed. Don't worry. Number one. Yeah. And he said, secondly, we're not asking for anything out of the extraordinary.
No.
We pay our rates. We pay our council tax.
Yeah.
So kick their butts. Yeah. They're public servants after all.
But Joe, it doesn't
me, can I
help.
just say-
I mean, I'm reeling from this.
Yep.
Councillor Jasper Land has a unit on an industrial estate on Brent Road. And it is
David made
an
a film today.
active industrial estate, because I wandered on it a few weeks ago. You've got lots of lorry movement inward and outwards. You've got forklifts, you've got compactors. There were chemicals. I don't know what sort of business it was, but the chemicals weren't locked away despite them having a health and safety notice and, saying children shouldn't be on site. And I am absolutely reeling that the application is to convert an industrial unit into a house of multiple occupation, 6 rooms that you can't even swing a cat in, for 9 people. And the entrance is going to be on Scots Road, which residents towards Brent Road end of Scots Road won't be happy about, because they are struggling to find parking because already workers on that particular site park on Scots Road, so parking is at a premium. But it's just, for me, I can't get my head around somebody thinking it's acceptable to convert an industrial unit. We're not talking about a disused warehouse in the East End of London, which is quite fancy and trendy. It is an industrial site which is quite risky and quite dangerous, given the number of lorry movements and all the activities that are going on there. And I'm just shocked that it was deemed
Angela,
appropriate.
you don't count. How are you going to
application.
stop her? She's the councillor in that area. What can you do? She will give permission to herself.
No, she won't. We'll make an objection to that. We'll object to that. Don't worry.
Once we're there, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, but
object.
this is, I mean, the
You
thing
don't
is,
have
I've
to be
said
account-
on Next Door Neighbours,
Yes,
the
of course.
people for Old Southall, you know, you're going to be affected if you live on Scots Road. Please put your objections in. I've done it.
Well
Another
done.
neighbour's done it, and somebody else has done it as well.
Well done.
But I just think,
Let's
how can
consider
you
them.
They will.
change an industrial unit on an industrial estate where there's all sorts of activities going on? I think it's acceptable to, you know, I would like to say to her, would you live there yourself with your family?
But Angela,
it's just
maybe she thinks
shocking.
maybe she thinks she's on her way out and she might as well get this done before she goes.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Don't
runs
forget-
her pure catering business from that unit, doesn't she?
That's right. It's converting. I don't know if she has more than one unit, but converting
It's
I think
the
she's got
pure
three. I
catering
think she's
unit.
She's just another money grabbing woman, isn't she? She's just typical of
Yeah.
people in Southall that just see it as a money making place. She doesn't care about the people that are going to be living in that property. For her, she can make more money out of that than she can her catering business.
Thank you.
But where's
Exactly.
so there's no humanity then, Jan.
It's just about
No.
money. Of course it
No.
doesn't.
Money.
Yeah.
It's just about making money
Money is,
again for
money
her.
is the money is the new disease. Money.
I feel like an ultimate victim of Southall because at the age of 21, my father put a freehold house on my name here on Trinity Road in 1997. Now, the council gave him a lot of hassle because one of the tenants complained. He sold that house for £70,000. I think now it's probably worth about, I don't know, 500 or 600 or something. I would have had a freehold house. I don't have that now. You know, and that was like 20 something years ago. I feel very hard done by, especially when all of these other landlords are profiteering and having all these other people there, and she can turn an industrial estate into a property. I mean, I would have had
Yeah.
like £500,000, £1 million there.
But it
Not fair.
seems to me, looking at the whole kind of the beds and the sheds, you know, I was helping Ealing Independence with their leafleting. And there's a property again on Scots Road, and Councillor Nand, her food shop used to operate out of this particular building. And I went round the back, and there's a brick outhouse with lace curtains in the window and a letterbox. You know, is that legitimate? You know, is that a legal dwelling for somebody?
It's probably rented.
shocking.
As long as you don't have a kitchen in there, it's legitimate because we've got one in our house, but nobody stays there. I was using it as an office. My father wanted it as like an entertainment place. And yeah, and what we had somebody, sorry, someone speaking. We had somebody from the council come round. Somebody came into my house and they came to the back to check what it was, because then they started to use Google Maps to look at overhead views of people's property to try and charge them extra council tax. And I could not believe the audacity of the council to send somebody to my house, which my mother and father paid for with blood, sweat and tears by working in factories, and legitimately paid the council tax and built by scrimping and saving every single penny. You know, and you're telling me people are doing this? It's not fair. It's not fair.
Well, a few
it's wrong.
years back, I don't know whether Jan had a call, but there was a team going round from the council asking about, do you have an outhouse in your back garden?
Yes.
And they were quite hostile in the way that
Money
they
grabbing.
did it. I mean, I don't have an
Yeah.
outhouse.
Joe's going to comment when he gets back, but please continue.
Yeah, but in reality, I suppose, you know, they're not overly concerned, because if these people have a roof over their head, they're not on the council waiting list. You know, they're not accessing, you know, lots of different council services.
My
but
house
it's shocking.
double
It's
fronted.
shocking. And I think what gets to me is the amount of poverty, and Labour don't seem to be doing anything about it in Southall Green. You know, you see people and their front doors, they've patched up their front door because they can't afford to replace their front door.
Yeah, with the
you know, and it's something surely they must be aware of when they're walking around. I was at Spencer Street basketball court, which is very derelict, and I was just taking photographs to upload to the Streets of Southall Facebook page that I've started up. And I saw what I thought was just a boo, and I thought I'd take a photograph, and suddenly it moved, and it really scared me. And it was actually somebody homeless, and they were on a mattress behind the basketball court. And I just started speaking to him, and I said, do you sleep here? And he said, yeah, sometimes. And I said, really, what you need somewhere, you know, to have a shower, somewhere to get something to eat. And he said, I'm waiting for St. Mungo's charity to pick me up.
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, you know, tears started to form in his eyes. And at that point, I walked away to preserve his dignity. But even just walking around Southall, not just the homelessness problem, but also the alcohol problem. David and I spoke to a few people during the day, and the alcohol stench was overpowering. You know, there's lots of issues, you know, underlying issues that people have that are not being dealt with, and they're, you know, sort of medicating through the use of drugs and alcohol.
He finds it hard to get hold of Librium, which stops his alcoholism. I've been in the hospital with my father about 3 years ago with him in West Middlesex, where he had pancreatitis, and all he needed was some Librium. Do you know how many people have those kinds of issues here? And these people are dying. These people, they're the original people of Southall, and they're dying. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm speaking to you now, because I've got to save them all, because no one else is going to do it. Oh, sorry. I'm just, people are dying. People are dying.
Happy, just walking around talking to people, you can see, you know, the extent of it. I remember going into one of the pharmacies on King Street, and there was a really pretty little girl. She looked like a little angel to me, immaculately dressed, but her father was there to get his heroin substitute. So again, heroin addiction, you know, that must be quite widespread, because I had certain times for people to get their substitution. You know, what are Labour doing about these issues? And somebody said something very interesting. A lady I met on Brent Road when leafleting, she said there's no community centre. And in almost the same breath, she said there is no support for mental health. And I think that's absolutely right. There's no place for us to go to get support from the relevant health professionals. I mean, for instance, it's been advertised that there is a support service for people who've got diabetes, yeah? Where are you supposed to meet the NHS trainer? Southall Sports Centre is shut down. You know, we don't have a community centre. I mean, Joe can testify to this. We held a meeting for the community on soil contamination, and we had speakers from Brunel University. We had to meet in one of the local restaurants. That was the only venue or space available to us. But when I look at, you know, going back to the woman who talked about mental health, I used to go to Hayes and Harlington Community Centre for a diet club, Weight Watchers. And yeah, it was great to go, you know, meeting people, but they did all sorts of activities, you know, sporting activities, martial arts. They've also got a bar there, but you can see how it is really the hub of that area. We don't have anything like that as far as I know.
Can I just say, be careful. I was sectioned last year based on false allegations. It was a social worker from Ealing Council that helped get me sectioned. No, about maybe 2 years ago, because I was crying about my father, and they used that to make an excuse to section me. When I was in that hospital, let me tell you, there were a lot of people there that didn't belong there. There's a house a few doors down from me where there's a guy called Dwayne who used to be from Ladbroke Grove. You know what? He told me that those mental health people beat him up and they inject him with things, and they've got him on these substances, mind-numbing substances. This is a ploy by the government. And what they're doing is they just want to sell their mental health drugs. I remember when a friend of mine went missing and the police weren't bothered to find him. We were looking for him everywhere in Richmond. We ended up in Ealing Hospital. All they want to do is get people on their mental health drugs. There are people from Southall that almost went to the Olympics to represent Great Britain in the Olympics in karate. It was a guy called Jagdeep Jalugan. He's now in a mental hospital. Nobody could fight him. He was some little guy who would fight most people. You know what? Be very careful about falling into the government's trap about mental health. They will use it to say that you're not mentally competent, to take your property away from you, to take your business away from you, to take your rights away from you. Happened with a big media company in America. The CEO or the chairman was no longer competent. There was a big case. And then they found somebody else. Always say state of mind, because people can be happy and people can be sad.
Yeah.
Never use that mental health terminology. It has legal consequences.
Yeah, what I meant really is that
Yeah,
you know,
careful.
to have the community centre is a way of maintaining good mental health and well-being. Yeah, because we all have
state of mind, a positive state of mind.
Okay, state of mind.
Don't
state
say
of mind.
mental health.
Okay,
They use that
to maintain a good, healthy state of mind. Yeah,
sure.
Because we're able to, take your point. We're able to engage with people. It cuts the isolation and the depression that people may suffer from feeling lonely and isolated.
Yes.
We just don't have facilities. And
sorry,
people
can I just say, sorry, I feel very strongly about this. I'm lonely and isolated. I didn't expect to be. My father died. Without my father, there's no family. My brother and sister are doing something else. They're too busy in their careers. My mum's getting old. And I think she's got a big cataract in her eye. In my house, we've got a double fronted house and we've got an outhouse. And there's only 3 people in there. My mother, my brother, and myself. And you know what? I go home to an empty house and I sit down by myself. And my mum, she is in her twilight years and she wants to go out and enjoy herself with her friends. And you know what? I feel like it's a ghost house. So I know exactly what you mean, because I am isolated. That's why I'm sitting here with you. I'd rather fight for the place that I was born and raised in.
Can I just come in?
It's a big.
Can I just say one thing? I mean, I, as you all know, I've lived in the same house in Southall my entire life. Yeah. Now, I do a lot of walking in the area, and I actually was driving around and walking around the last few days, and it actually came to me that the problem is that Ealing Council have let Southall go. And the problem is there's no coming back from it, because people see like, oh, well, so-and-so next door gets away with it, we can do it. Oh, if so-and-so can build an outhouse and nobody says anything, we can do it. It's the norm now in this area. Yeah. And unfortunately, it will never go back to the way it is, because Southall has been running to the ground.
Janet, if you fine people £10,000, we can bring the norm back. That's not a problem. My situation is very simple. I'm just praying for the 5th of May. Okay. And then if we can knock a couple of these councillors off their seats, okay, we can get our foot through the door. Now, I wanted to tell you about the outhouses. I had a knock a couple of years ago. I had a knock in the evening on my front door, and I was speaking to an architect. So I said to the architect, just grab the door, please. He grabbed the door, and there was this little woman there, and there's about 3-4 police officers.
Oh my!
He goes, Joe, I think you better go to the door. So I went to the door and I said, good evening, how can I help you? And there was 4 or 3 coppers standing outside on the footpath to, facing my house on the brick wall. She goes, hello. I said, hello. She said, I've come to see the outhouse. I said, I beg your pardon? She goes, I've come to see the outhouse. I said, well, first of all, have you made an appointment? She said, I don't need an appointment. I said, to enter this house, you have to make an appointment.
And get a warrant.
No, listen. So all these police officers had smiles on their face, right? When I said that, yeah? So I said, is it okay for me to come and knock at your door in the evening when you're having your supper? I said, who sent you here? She said, Ealing Council. I said, well, Ealing Council should know better. That you can't just knock on people's doors and expect them to give you entry to their premises. But I'll say this as well. 2 of our neighbors just let them walk in, okay? And I wouldn't do that. So I said, I think the best thing for you to do, I said, is go to Ealing Magistrates Court, and go and get yourself a warrant, and only then you can enter my house. See, the sad thing about life in Southall is people don't know their rights. As soon as they see a police officer, they get scared. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the film that I sent out last week, I think it was. Well, that situation, what happened? I had a dispute with my neighbor regarding my cat. They didn't know I was sitting in the garden having a cup of coffee, and I was on the telephone. And I saw my cat fly over the wall. And then I heard the neighbor shouting some words. So I went to pick up my cat, and it's actually on recording the words I used, that this is cruelty to an animal. You can't do this. Anyway, I reported to the Metropolitan Police. The Metropolitan Police phoned me back half an hour later from Acton Police Station. What do you want to do? I said, well, all I want to do is I want to wait till my daughters get from work and we'll check the camera. Oh, okay then, Mr. Mangu. Half an hour later, I'll get a police car with blue lights on, 2 officers pop up. Now, I don't know if they were putting pressure on me. That's how I feel now. At the time, I thought they were trying to help me. So I told them the same story. I said, look, you didn't have to come here. I didn't call you here. It's a waste of resources. Now, when me and the lads were out canvassing, I think it was a bank holiday or a Sunday, we saw a police officer coming out of my neighbor's house. And Sagar, being Sagar the way he is, he starts speaking to the police officer and saying to him, are you here for the cat? And he said, yes. So he said, are you the owner of the house next door? He said, no, but Mr. Bangu is. So I spoke to the police officer. He said, Mr. Bangu, we're treating it as a tit for tat. I said, I beg your pardon? How can you treat that tit for tat? I said, the last time I called the police here was 2019, when their son reversed a car onto a bicycle that I was sitting on. And that was done deliberately. And the Metropolitan Police said, no, they're going to treat it as a road traffic accident. So after I finished with the police officer, Angela, I'd already finished with him. And then Sagar started filming me while I was having my words on film. But the police officer turned his back, came back, and as you see the way he's using his hands towards me, yeah? I'd already finished the conversation with him. I said to him, you can go and write whatever report you like, but far as I'm concerned, I will be giving my information to Scotland Yard. So we left it. So then we started making the film, but he returned back to try to bully me. Yeah, if you look at his hand on the film, you'll see what he's looking for. Yeah. So the Metropolitan Police are making decisions because somebody, and this is not the first time it's happened to me, it's the second time it's happened to me. Somebody is phoning the inspector or chief inspector in Acton Police Station, and it's got to be a councillor. Because my neighbours are always boasting, we know councillors. Okay? So this is what's going on in Southall. The inspector's getting a phone call. I remember when my leg got mashed up on the accident, I called the police and the police went to their house. Explain that to me.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You're the victim.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the one who's been injured.
Yep.
Can I interrupt a little bit, please?
Yep.
Hello?
Oh, is it Amric?
Yeah.
Hi, Amric.
Sorry, really interesting conversations. But a few points I'd like to make is something about I know we're not supposed to call it mental health issues, but it's basically mental health issues. We do need to highlight this. This is something that we should be campaigning about. I do have a friend who's got, she started something in St. John's Church, and she does it a couple of days a week. And the amount of people that actually come there is quite enormous. I was at a funeral a few weeks ago, and she had something like 25, 30 people sitting in there. Right? So that is St. John's saying, yes, come and use our hall for your purpose, for your help in the community. And I don't know how much they charge her, but she is doing something to help. Now, the other thing I want to bring up is the whole church, St. John's hall that they have on the corner of King Street and Western Road. Now, more than likely, if it's not a listed building, that's going to be knocked down and they will build flats there. They will buy the petrol station and every piece of land in between
Just
that.
quick one. Which one you talking about? You're talking about the one opposite, the up and the pinned one?
Yes.
That's licensed.
Sorry?
It's licensed. I know that church because I go to that church.
So is that a listed building then?
It is. It's a listed building. It's never going to get moved.
It won't get moved. So, but that is one of those buildings.
Of trying to do it, but it was an old St. John's church that has to be kept.
Okay, so that is one place that Ealing Council could spend some money and say to St. John's, we want to do this up as a community hall or something, but they won't do it because then the community will come together, and they don't want the community to come together. They want it separate. So they've got an agenda not to have any sort of community, because otherwise then we'll all get together, start talking about what we're talking about now, and other people find out, other people get mad, then it spreads in Southall. Look, why are we voting Labour all the time? We don't need to vote Labour. And that's what they're scared of. So that's why we will not get a community hall. We won't get any social development. I've asked Peter Mason 3 days in a row, name me one single house that you've made which is affordable in Southall. It can't, because there is not a single house that's been made affordable. And these are the things we I know this time around we probably may not get any seats, but if we do, brilliant. But this is the platform, as I forgot his name, what he said when he started this campaign, is that we need to build on this. And in 4 years' time, we need to be in a much, much better position to get the seats that we want.
Excuse me, there are three issues I'd like to bring up relevant to that. Okay, the first one is I had a friend called, which Baji refers to as the professor, very intelligent agricultural, environmental person from Singapore. He was living here. He died because he never got a place to live by himself. I don't know if that was the cause, but during COVID, he died. I was very upset about that after my father. He was the only person that came to prayers for my father with me. Now, there's also another person that I know that I've known for about a good 30, 35 years. And I know he used to live around Golf Links. He's born and raised in the area. And I see him begging on the street sometimes. He's got a substance abuse problem. He hasn't been housed. He is a son of Southall. He's a father as well. He has a 22, 23-year-old daughter. And his missus may be doing something else. I feel personally about this. These are my friends from Southall that have grown up and been born and raised around. And yes, they may have a few issues, but they're still people. They still have feelings and they still have rights. The other thing is, oh my gosh, I feel like David Cameron. The last thing is, there's an 80-year-old man, Iranian man, who's living in my friend's guest house. And he went to, no, actually, there's one more issue. And he needs housing. He hasn't been offered housing by the council. He's a British citizen. Why not? Also, there's a lady that came from Pakistan about 6 months ago, Asfa, which Joe also spoke to Mr. Sharma on. Her secretary arranged an appointment for us at Percival House. We went there. They didn't let us enter Percival House. And she wasn't housed either. She was a British citizen. It beggars belief. And when I spoke to the people at the door, I said, listen, I'm a lifelong resident, voter and taxpayer in Southall. And they said, so what? There's thousands of them. I was so hurt. I was so offended. And I was so disappointed. And these are real people with real issues. That lady was about 55, 60 years old. That man's 80 years old. That guy, he's about 45 years old. And man, what are they doing? What are they doing? And they can house people from different parts of the country. What are they doing?
But Happy,
what are they doing?
So I had a housing appointment today, actually, because I'm looking to get a council place myself.
Yeah.
And I waited maybe 4.5 weeks for an appointment. I rang them about 4 weeks ago to get an appointment. She rang me today unannounced. So I was on public transport. So I didn't want to take the call because obviously I have to give out all confidential information. So I said, give me a call in an hour and a half. She called me about an hour after. I was still commuting. So I told you an hour and a half. I'm still on the commute.
It's been contracted to a private company.
So
yeah,
she rang me And I spoke to her, and she was saying to me that, oh, we don't have a house for someone like you. I go, someone like me, a 20-year-old taxpayer, lifelong resident as you, Happy, a council taxpayer. I pay, you know, I've got an employment, I've got income coming in. Why can't you house me? But and we've actually tested this, Manchester came down. No, sorry, they didn't declare they're homeless. They said they've come from Manchester, they don't have a house. They went to Ealing Council or something, and there was some other thing said. They gave her a house straight like that. So
good luck to everybody, but they're diluting us.
Yeah,
they're cleansing us. They're gentrifying this area.
But what they're doing, Sufyan, is Ealing Council are getting money from other councils, taking on these people. So again, it comes down to these properties in this area are not for the likes of the people of Southall. They are making money out of, like, I don't know, like Croydon, where they house people from
Lewisham, but that's what I said to them. I said that day I needed emergency accommodation. I asked to go to somewhere in Southall or Ealing, because number one, I think it was 1 a.m. I called them. I called the out of hours service. They go, yeah, go to South Harrow. I said, how am I going to get to South Harrow at this hour? They go, yeah, get public transport.
What you got to remember, and this is where I feel that this is where we are at the moment. In 2010, we were telling them not to do what they're doing. They didn't listen to us. And now what we're saying is the system is broken. That's the lovely word. The system is actually broken. The system is not fit for purpose. And that's what we got to stop. And Amrik, we are going to win some seats. Yeah. A lot of hard work has been put into this, okay?
We're going to win all the seats, Joe.
I'll be happy. I'll be happy if we win about six seats. I'll be happy.
We're going to win the hearts and minds of the people. Can I say something based on, just quickly, on the police issue? You know what? I phoned the police today. Here's a Cadman number. Feel free to write to everyone and find out about this. I made a report because somebody cycled past me and said, I will kill you. And I was a little bit worried. So defensively, I called the police. I waited 18 minutes for the police to arrive. I was wondering what took them so long, because Southall Police Station is full of police officers. And they were talking about a triage system. And Amrik, you may know about this. Some of you other guys may know about this as well. Why is it they can come and harass Joe about an incident with a cat, but they can't turn up when I've been threatened with death? And I'm standing there on the main high street outside the White House dental surgery, because I just went to get my morning paper. And somebody said, I will kill you. Why didn't they turn up for 18 minutes?
Should have got the councillor.
Well, should have got the councillor. Exactly. I should have got.
I can tell you exactly why. Can I get an advice, please? I've had my hands raised, and then Mr. Mahi's sort of, I think, wanted to deflect the attention away from us talking about the police. I could say, and everyone can record me, Southall name and shame my hair. Southall police, especially Southall Broadway neighbourhood team, who were under the command of Sergeant Justin A. Perry, who has now become an inspector at Acton Police Station, is the most corrupt, underperforming,
I know that one.
Unrelevant, don't know nothing about our community here. There's 4 officers, there's a new sergeant who's in charge. Can I just get a word edgewise? I've had personal dealings with him for 5 years now. PC Omar, whatever his name is, he witnessed my wife being attacked by my neighbor, which I've got on HD TV. My wife's got on camera. The next door neighbors have it as well. And PC Omar survived. That's what his name is. He's got it on his, the chest camera. He did not do anything. My wife was in hysterics. It's the 5th time that she actually got attacked. Now,
what?
That officer left and told my wife, stop making a scene. The next day, tried to contact Omar Swat, he dismissed it totally. That officer should not be working in this environment, in this community right now. We know there is a lot of corruption in the Met Police.
In relation to
head
what you're
resigned
saying,
just a month or two ago, but there's a lot of rotten apples, a lot, and they're giving a bad name to the very few officers who are good. The standards of the police have fallen. In my days, they had to be 6 foot high, educated. Now, because of political correctness, it looks like anyone can become a police officer without any training. Hendon, the police station, with the centre, is not the same as it was years and years ago, where they had proper military type of training, wake up early, marches. And standards have fallen. I've got CCTV footage. I wrote to Justin Petty last August, and I said, gentleman, one gentleman to another gentleman, can you please arrange a meeting? I have a few issues regarding your officer, PC Omar Sabai. That gentleman, who's been promoted now as an inspector, did not get back to me. I had to chase him. And I sent him the footage. He saw it. I raised my concerns. He did not come in for a face-to-face meeting. He dismissed it totally after 3 months. Now, you might think I'm making this up, but I'm a person. I've got the recordings. I can guarantee you what I've dealt with the police from Acton as well. About 20 officers over the last 4 years. All of them collude and cohere with each other. There must be something wrong. Why are we allowing? I'm a person who has become vocal. I'm a bit educated. I know my right. What about all our community who are not educated, who don't know their rights? What is going on? The reason that tree was moved, we've set up a Twitter account, okay? And that Happy's been trying to get that sorted out. Yesterday, I'm on the Twitter account, and there's, we never see these officers, the Southall, the local neighborhood team was set up about 15 years ago so they could focus on the community. So they're supposed to let know what the problem is, maybe deal with neighborhood issues, drugs, prostitution, that kind of thing. I never see them anywhere. There's 4 officers and a sergeant. Where are they? I never see them. I've been living here for 42 years. The new sergeant, has he made himself known? You go on their website, they've got the wrong number. Apparently, they're still based in Southall, a sports centre, which is closing down. You ring them up, it's a mobile number, you leave a message, they don't get back to you. You email them, they don't get back to you. Actually, I've had a few instances now, which I reported to 101. I've got crime reference numbers.
Right, what can you do with that one?
They said that your neighborhood team are going to be dealing with him. 5 weeks later, I haven't heard anything. What is going on? They get £30,000 between 4 times 30 with overtime, 120, the sergeant's on 50, £200,000 of our money going where? Give me that job. Put the 4 officers away. Just give me 20,000 and I'll control Southall Broadway better than what they do.
Yeah, I just want to come in there.
They are lazy. I could say lazy. And I'm saying these things. In this country, we have a wonderful law called defamation, slander, sue. I welcome these officers, Sergeant Justin Petty, PC Omar Swai. There's a couple others I won't name. I'm live here, record me.
Yeah, I just want to talk about...
No, let me get this one, because this is an issue where, it's not highlighted. What I'm saying, what about the rest of the people who don't know their rights, who don't know English? I still see drug dealers on the Broadway. You walk at night, you see certain young women who are on heroin, walking up and down, asking, hassling people, looking for clients. Don't the officers know anything about that? Of course they do. They are turning a blind eye. Why? It is their duty to actually serve and protect us. Where are they? This new sergeant has come in.
Regarding that, though,
this new sergeant, should he not go around and like how we've been canvassing at Ealing or Labour, not going to say, I'm the new sergeant, here's my team, here's our number, if there's any problem. They are letting Southall go down the drain. Why?
It's already gone down the drain.
Right.
No, it
can I-
hasn't gone down the drain. No, it will never go down the drain. The drain is blocked yet. They need to, like, you know, get a pressure hose and clear the drain, then we'll go down. But there's loads of us who are still here to highlight these issues. Look, what happened with the police? We know they were racist. Keith Jagger, the first riots, the second riots. Blair Peach was killed by one of these special SO19 squad. And they know it was them. They've done inquiries, but the officers have never been prosecuted. There's a school named Blair Peach was built, I think, in the mid-80s. My children went in there. But never during the 78 years that they went there, any teacher only mentioned who Blair Peach was. We've had loads of anniversaries, you know, the 30th anniversary, nothing. Why isn't this highlighted? We, the Asian community, made Southall safe for everyone. The ethnic minorities did that. You remember the early one? They arrived in Brixton, Liverpool, Birmingham. That was, people had enough. There was no other option. Why do people riot? Because there comes a point where enough is enough, and this is what's going to happen in Southall. Believe you me, it's heading this way. A lot of people made Joe's generation a lot of sacrifices. My children now are able to walk the streets of Southall safe. They don't know what it was like when we were young. We couldn't go certain areas like, you know, the flats near Spice Bridge or Golf Links or Feltham or Hayes. No way. You wouldn't come out with one piece.
Yeah, Sangha.
Why are we not commemorating what's happened? Because that change, it's events like that that should be celebrated. You know, our children should be made aware of. It's such a sad loss. Why did Blair Peach die? There's a school named after him. There's a little plaque on there, but you know, no one even knows of him. Keith Jagger, murdered for no senseless reason, a young kid. He would have been Joe's age at this time. I mean, I would love, you know, what's his name, our fellow citizen, ex-PC Bahi, to let us know what are the inner workings of the police. I can guarantee you there's about 20 officers ranging from, you know, PCSOs all the way to detective inspectors, DCI inspectors as well. They are they collude with each other. They get officers to change their reports, because if one officer comes and says this is right, he goes back. They collude and make him change, because it's a boys' network. They stick with each other. I don't know if you go. There's an interesting piece of well, it's called the College of Policing, I think. So then you go and then it tells you all the rules and regulations how the police should be trained. Being a police officer is very difficult. You can't just take your uniform and go into the pub and get drunk and start doing crazy things. There's a code of conduct. You need to be very like a police officer, 24 hours a day, 300, whether you're on the other side of the world. And one of the things they say is you lead by example. If, for instance, there's an officer who's done something, you're meant to report him to your superiors. We know what the police are like. What happened with that lady in early March? You know who we're talking about. She got kidnapped and certain things happened and she was killed. Those officers knew that this guy was like this for years. They had nicknames for him. Why didn't they not report it? It's become a boys' club. It's easy money for them. They get £35,000 for doing nothing. Look at our own system. I tell you what happened with the tweet. I was on Twitter and there's a tweet by Lady Margaret Ward, yeah? And which was retweeted by Southall Broadway team, and it's about that tree which Happy's talking about. What's apparently happened is there's a car driver who's gone, this is about 2nd or 3rd of April, and he stopped by to take a photograph. One of these PC officers saw that, stopped him and fined him, and they're proud saying, oh, we saw this driver, he stopped to take a photograph and we fined him, yeah? That's all they do. If you look at the Twitter, it's little silly things. There's loads of crimes that aren't even reported. They're just doing it to keep the figures down, because it makes them look like they're doing the true figures are 100 times more. Why are they doing that? They're not doing their job. They're not fit for purpose. Now, so I wrote back, I just wondering, I'm going to finish. I wrote back, it's been 4 weeks, officers. Thank you for prosecuting that driver, but that tree is still there. I put that picture, happy that you took, yeah? And you're right, that's a hazard. It's a hazard to pedestrians and cars. 4 weeks later, it's still there. This morning, they moved it.
Yes, can I quickly come in very, very quickly about, I promise it won't be long, about my experience of the police in Southall. The first time was 14 years ago. I arrived home with my newborn daughter and put her to bed, and there was this guy outside, and all of a sudden a gang descended upon him and beat the living daylights out of him, and we could see it through my bedroom window. And my partner at the time thought, my God, he's going to be killed, yeah? So we called the police, we called the ambulance, and these people meant to do this man serious damage. There was a house being renovated opposite, it had a skip, they were getting planks of wood, just raining down blows on his head. Anyway, eventually the gang just ran off, they left him lying on the road where I live, and we thought, you know, he might be dead. The ambulance turned up before the police did, and he was taken away in the ambulance. Don't know whether he survived. The police eventually turned up, but quite some time, no uniformed police. These were plainclothes police officers. They knocked on my door to ask, you know, what we had seen. But when they were actually needed, you know, to turn up to, you know, stop this assault, they were nowhere to be seen. And in those days, we still had a police station in Southall. Now, I'm going to fast forward to before the pandemic, so it's probably about 2.5 years ago. And Jan might remember this person. There was a local person in Southall, he got involved with leafleting for us. Anyway, one day he sent me some photographs and he said, I've been attacked. And he showed me photographs of his hands. He had defense wounds because he put his hands up to protect his face. So he was stabbed with some sort of, people don't know whether it was a knife or a screwdriver, but something sharp. And I said, look, I'm going to call an ambulance and the police for you. An ambulance didn't turn up straight away. A paramedic on a motorbike was sent. No police officer turned up that night. He received a phone call the following day telling him to turn up at Ealing Station. But Ealing Station was actually shut by then, and he should have been sent to Acton instead. It was the following afternoon, a policewoman turned up to take a statement from him. And you have to remember, this guy was assaulted, and it was actually on Eid this happened. So by the time she turned up to take a statement, the perpetrator could have been an outsider, long gone, any chance of gathering evidence, non-existent. So I was absolutely shocked that this was not treated seriously and this man was badly assaulted. So for me, it's quite an eye-opener. I mean, when I grew up in a place called Peterborough, and the local PC, I remember him very well, it was called PC Paul. And you would see him around and about on his bicycle. He was a member of the community, very well known by all the local young people. Now, you know, you ring police in an emergency and they don't turn up. My neighbour was burgled. They didn't turn up. She just got a crime reference letter. Yeah, when Bartley Group, or rather, an organisation that appears to be connected with Barclay Group, because Jackson Gear was involved in this, litter picking around the back of Milan Palace. There were about 5 police officers on a Saturday morning litter picking. And I thought, what are you doing? There are people suffering terrible crimes and you don't turn up. All you do is send a crime reference letter. Why Bartley Group has so much influence to actually get the police to be involved in a publicity stunt is absolutely shocking when we, the taxpayers, fund the police force. But that's all I want to say. So who else is waiting? Sophia, I know you and Rashpal. Can we give Rashpal an opportunity to have a say. Rashpal, can you unmute, please?
Happy.
Hi, Rashpal.
Hi, good evening to
evening.
everyone. Yeah, I would like to say things, like how we are suffering, most people, and we need some like something, like we have to do something about it. Like labor is ignoring us for too long because, sorry, just a moment. I don't know what to do. Is it unmute now?
Labour.
Is it
Rashpal,
unmute?
Labour.
Rashpal, you can carry on, Rashpal. Carry on.
Sorry, I thought, okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, because we've been ignored for so long, like he's here for so many years, and we are suffering, I think most people, we have to speak up for ourselves. We have to, we have to like get together, and we are ordinary people, we are from Independent Network, and we are here to help everybody with all the issues we are facing. Like it's everyday story, and like at night time is where I live on main Broadway is worse, no noise pollution, like traffic pollution, so many like crime, so much crime is going on.
People are suffering.
And sorry, they are not doing labor is not doing anything, so we need some, need some, something to be done, because it's going on so long, and it needs to stop now, and I am fed up of it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in, sorry, quickly about what Sangha mentioned about rights.
It's not Sangha, man. My name's Sagir.
Sorry, Sagir.
It's like me calling you Zufiyar or something. For Christ's sake, man. Sagir, Sangha. Call me Sage or something.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Sanga's new name is the
Man,
name that I
you
gave
guys
him.
live in a
What's that name I called you?
multi community, and you don't even know how to say Sahib. My actual name is Sahib. Or in Arabic, there's no hand. We can't, so it became a GH. So it's Sag here. So
Okay.
I never heard what Joe's been. Joe, I don't know how many names he's called me. I'm giving up.
All right, cool. Anyway, what you mentioned about your rights. Now, me personally, I've been stopped in the last month and a half about 3 times by the Metropolitan Police in Southall. They've stopped me on grounds of looking like a suspect. The second time I got stopped was they believed I was a suspect, and the third time they came and visited me, I was at hospital with my aunt, and the police came, said that I was being disruptive. So I said to the police officer, right, show me in the NHS policy, because I work for the NHS, I said to her, show me where it says I can't be here. She says, yeah, it's a only the patients allowed in. I go, since April, I don't know what Ealing Hospital are doing. They've made their own rules. I'll give you all a bit of insight. Ealing Hospital have made their own rules. There's no requirement in NHS buildings where you have to be alone. My aunt can't speak English properly. Yeah. So therefore, my cousin, who's the nurse, was there to translate, and I was there because it was late at night. And the girl, obviously, my cousin's only 21, and she's quite small in terms of height. And she, I mean, of Ealing Hospital, it's not the best because there's alcoholics there, and it's not really safe for 2 girls to be walking back to the bus stop at that time. So I said to the officer, look, show me an NHS policy where I can't be here and I'll leave. So she goes, she got the manager, the one of the duty managers on shift And I said to him, what, you called the police here to get me removed? Then I'm not going anywhere. Show me in the policy where it is. They couldn't show me. So I sat there and they looked at me like I did a crime. So they got the police there for that within about 12 minutes of that call being made. But yet, when people are held at knife point in Southall, they're waiting something about 25, 27 minutes. And when people are getting burgled, they don't want to show.
After you left, and my husband come, the other
Yeah.
lady, I was like waiting.
That's my aunt.
She's so rude,
Yeah.
okay, and she didn't like my husband. I'm feeling what's there.
Yeah.
And every people I'm looking, every husband wife is couple of their owner there, didn't let them my
Yeah.
husband wife.
So basically I don't know if you heard that. So what happened was, then after I left, my uncle took over because it was time to break fast. So me and my cousin had to head back to Southall. And my uncle had already broken fast. So he came straight from work or from home, wherever he was. And he came, he dropped us back home. He drove back to Ealing Hospital, paid for, and then they refused to let him in. And then I said, don't worry, make a video. And then they eventually let him in. And my aunt was very unwell, and it's not on with the police because the police have got time to stop you on grounds that you look like a suspect. I go, what's the description of the suspect? Please read that out to me. If I look like the suspect, I want to know what people have described me as. So they go, a brown Asian male. So I said that's half of Southall. And sorry, Joe. You're on mute. Joe.
Where is he going?
Joe, you're on mute.
If Justin Petty is the inspector, what's that? What's that? What is that?
Fudgy,
What is that?
You want to ask him a question as well?
What is that?
Who are you talking to, Joe?
What did you write? What did you write?
I wrote, you guys were, your microphone was muted, so you were talking, so it wasn't coming through. So that's a quick way of you unmuted now, yeah.
I'm muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you unmuted just now, yeah.
Sagir, the question I wanted to ask you is,
okay.
Are your neighbours involved with the councillor, or are they involved with the police?
Both. They've actually got us. The ladies, I found out recently, this has been going on for 7 years. I've had, when I reported incidences, please don't turn up until the next day. They make up things, and officers within half an hour, 16, 12 officers come. The game was about 3 weeks ago. I realized why. Her nephew is a senior officer in the Met Police. So all he has to do, make a few phone calls. And they've been going to see local councillors who sort of, So this is what is actually going on in our community. Now, I'm going to say two things. Angela, you got very emotional when you talked about the police, yes? I noticed that earlier on. So I think you've had, certain issues with them or seeing them. Now, Sufyan, you got emotional as well, earlier on. And poor old Rashpal couldn't even speak about them. I used to respect authority. That's how I grew up. Teachers, nowadays, the teachers at Pegasus used to throw rock buttons at your head and have blood. No one complained. We had one teacher who used to say, man, ding, ding. We accepted that. But what's happened, it's a good thing that's happened to me with the police because I've just realized authority, what they've got is nothing. The reason they're doing to us is because we're disunited. It's the old colonial thing of divide and rule.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, everyone. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 8 of us here. And you highlighted the police problem. I highlighted the problem. Sufyan has. And so has Rashpal. Half of us have. Joe has highlighted it. Everyone here seems to have highlighted the problem, which is 100%. Now, that means it's epidemic. Something needs to be done about this.
Sorry, let me just finish with this, yeah. when the police want to stop you, and I want to give everyone a bit of a I mean, I know this now because I've read about the law a hell of a lot. If the police want to come to me, number one, first thing you check, body cam has to be recording for your safety and for the officer safety. That's number one. Number two is they have to have a witnessing officer present, because in the court of law, they need a witness. Now, a witness has to be unbiased. So, for example, that day when the Ealing Hospital happened, when they came, the lady didn't have a witnessing officer, nor was she flagged. Her body cam wasn't recording. So I flagged up to her. She goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, I know the law better than you then, because I've read about it."
They don't know the law.
No, because I've been
True. They don't know the law. One officer will say something, and then another after a minute will say totally something different.
They will consult the sergeant.
No, this is how the police are trained in Ealing. Because you go to outside of Ealing Borough, you go to Brent, you go to even, you could just go one borough out, Brent, or Hounslow. The Hounslow Met Police are 10 times better than Ealing Met Police. They, when an incident happened in Hounslow with my family, within minutes, officers were at the scene. This wasn't even an urgent call. It could have waited, to be honest, but they came immediately and they investigated there and then, and they gave proper follow-ups. And when me personally, I was held at knife point 2 years ago by 2 youths. Yep. The police officer came after 22 minutes, number one. There wasn't one mess up they did. Then they go, "Well, we can't find the suspect." Obviously, you're not, because they've fled the scene. Yep. They've taken items off me. They've held me at knife point. They've threatened me. It's a threat to kill. Not only that, they've pulled a knife to my chest and they got away. Now, I did my own. I got somebody to find these people. I found out where they live, where they hang around, what areas. And I rang 101 and I said, "Go to these properties and search them." They go, "We don't have the resources." I go, "How much do you want? I will pay." They go, "It's not about funding." I go, "Well, it clearly is, because you don't want to go when you have funding from City Hall, from Scotland Yard," because I did an FOI then on how much funding they got. £7.5 million that year alone for WA, which is West area. But they don't want to pay up. So I did them. I went to court and I did the police for it, because I don't take, we don't have resources. You do have resources, but you've got resources for 5 officers to harass innocent members of the public, canvassing or campaigning. You've got 14 officers at the Christmas fair for Berkeley Group. You got resources then. Where does the resource come from? Because that is not urgent. Yes, all you need is a security guard there. Yep, I mean, I'm pretty sure an SIA trained officer can diffuse a situation. If they can't, they're not trained properly, if I'm being honest. But if they're not, one officer did try and touch me. I go, "You touch me, and believe me, if I hurt you, it's in self-defense, and I don't care what you do to me next." Because they've tried. An officer tried to cuff me. This was about last year. And I said, "On what grounds?"
Are you saying a police officer tried to cuff you, or an officer tried to cuff you?
No, a police officer.
Right, okay, I wanted to be sure. I was just confused with that.
Yeah, no, a police officer tried cuffing me because I refused to give him my name. He did not serve me with, he goes, "What's my name?" I said, "I don't have to give you any details by law.
That's correct.
Until you give me a reason to believe I'm a suspect, or you're looking for me, or what." So I said, "No comment." And he goes, "What do you mean no comment?" I go, "No comment, because I'm not going to sit here and entertain this conversation." And they think they know the law. But I said, "Right, quote me the law where I have to give you my details." I'm happy to give them. So he quoted me something I Googled. One Google search does wonders. And I said, "Well, under this, I don't have to give you no details unless I'm a suspect. So I'll now walk away." So it's not on. The police in Southall need to be trained, and they need to seriously, if they're gonna stop you, get their name, get their badge number, and make sure the body cam's recorded, and get the body cam footage. You can do that. if you go to the Met.police website and you can get the body cam footage as I've done. Sanga, you're on mute.
Yeah, the evidence just disappears. It goes missing somehow. The problem with our Ealing police, especially, is been going on for so long from the top down. You know, any kind of, when you do a managerial position, if I was the chief inspector, I lead by example because the ranks below me look up to me. If I'm just sitting there on my phone in my office, don't do anything, within a year, that culture is a top to bottom down trickle. That's how it's become. I guarantee, I could honestly say the majority of the police in Ealing are not doing their job. They're just getting paid easy money. That's all it is. Man, the toilet cleaners, I respect them more because at least they're doing an honest day's job. How many forums have we got? We got Southall, Broadway, Dormers, Lady Margaret, Norwood Green, and the Green. About 5 times 7, 35 officers. About a million, about 1.2 million, they're just earning on their wages. Where are the forums? They're meant to have monthly forums. Last one I could trace on the internet what happened in Dormers well back in 2009. Why they don't want the public to meet them, just like the Labour law. And they're getting away with it. We need to get together. You're right. Now, everyone's had a problem with the police. Sorry, we're going on a different issue, but Angela, you've had a problem. I've had a problem. Joe's had a problem. Happy's had a problem. Rashpad's had a problem. And poor old Sufyan, that's the majority of us here who's had a problem. I don't know anything about Southall name and shame, but it looks like 100% of us had a problem. We can stand up for ourselves. But what about the people who are the weaker? Sorry. Did you say something, sir?
The only time I had a problem was when Sharma called the police out of our office and tried to get me out.
Okay. Yeah, the police, I tell you, body footage will disappear. Your reports will disappear. And it's known. It's a culture. It's a cultural thing. Basically, it's something that was happened in America 2 years ago. It's happening here. And there are, I'll tell you, good officers. It's like a cancer. Like when you have a cancer cell and it's diagnosed, you could get it removed easily. You don't want it to spread and it come to a point where that's it. You're dead. That's what's happened to us. We need to disband them, do something. I will do it because I don't say things. I'm a person. I've got video evidence of all this. I've got Google Drive. I record from my cameras going back the last 3 years because it came to that point. I've seen officers say something here, take a statement, 2 weeks. When you call the police, they come and take a statement, write it down. And to close the case, they have to write a report up and give it to their senior, which is an inspector, and he stamps it. You can ring up something called the Crime Management Service. It's not a 101 number. You can't ring it up and then transfer it. And they can look, and what they read is totally different. And I'm thinking, Jesus, now, that officer said something, an inspector, someone higher up, has okayed it. It's like, they want to keep the crime low, makes him look good. We actually need more than 4 officers just for Southall Border. We need about 10, honestly. There are people who do their job for £5,000 a year. I'm telling you, volunteers will do it. The new inspector, has he made himself a sergeant known? We don't even know his name. All white middle-class gentlemen living somewhere, don't know how to live in an inner city like this with different communities, and they have hatred. Deep down, it's become politically correct. You can't say certain things a bit, but deep down, it still goes on. It still goes on. Honestly, look, we started off with a different issue. All of us had problems with them. Well, I could stand up for myself. It's made me tougher, much, much tougher. I've become vocal. Everyone here, Happy's been through something. We've had life experiences, life events, which has toughened up. I could think of getting depressed and say, oh, this has happened. But it's good this happened because it's made me more vocal, more tougher. Happy, Joe, and I'm sure something happened. experiences like that. Don't look at the negative and look at the positive. It's our job now. What I feel sorry for is the people, who are homeless, the drug addicts, who don't know, people who come from India or different culture. They don't know. Please, back there are a lot worse. We thought, well, these lot are getting the same. So, people who don't know their language, they talk crap to us. Imagine someone, we don't even know what the true crime figures are. Why aren't the forums being put on Zoom? Or COVID officially ended, Boris Johnson ended it at the end of February. So doctors should be able to see us. Everything's back to normal. Like, Sufyan did make a point. COVID figures aren't being reported daily. We were scared. There's new variants coming out. Did you know China's still their capital is under lockdown? So there are loads of variants. They just want everything to go back to normal. Honestly, still be careful. Wear masks. You still follow the rules. We shouldn't be like sheep. Look after yourself.
My children in their high school, they still have to wear masks in the classrooms and the communal areas. And they saw a PowerPoint presentation, and according to that presentation, local rates are still very high.
Oh.
So you're quite right. We have to be careful.
Honestly, there's a new this virus is going to mutate, and it's going to get going to get dangerous strains. But they don't want us to now because they realize the public are scared. Basically, it's all about business. So they want everything to get back to normality. But good companies as yet, have you noticed, haven't called their staff back because they know if they do and something happens, it's a major HR, thing. So maybe one or two nowadays they have to go in. There's a lot of things, it's our duty now to actually look after our community. When I and Joe and Ray, us lot have gone leafleting and canvassing, you think you're alone, but we met really good people, old ladies, white, all cultures, and they thought they were alone, but they're not. So what we're doing is good. We're spreading the word. 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, 4. When you got a dozen or so, then you become a team with strength. Each one of us has had different life experiences. We've got different qualities. All right, we're not perfect. We've got bad habits as well. But united, that's how we make a change. That's any kind of thing that's happened.
I couldn't agree more. By actually doing the campaigning on the streets, you really get to know what the issues are. And also this sense of being failed by Labour. And it's not just 1 or 2 people saying it. Virtually every person I've spoken to has said it. An absolute frustration. And also, you get to hear local intelligence about what is happening, what councillors are doing, and how people feel this is just not acceptable. And what people realise is that when they have a problem and they go to their councillor and the councillor does nothing. So, for example, there's a resident and there's an issue with overhanging trees from a property. And he asked the councillor to intervene and speak to the company. Nothing happened. So then people realise, well, why have I voted for you? You're not a strong advocate for me. You're not in my corner. So now really is the time for the independents. And for me, it's like a breath of fresh air. And I was saying to Sufyan, I would have probably abstained from voting if the independents had come along, or I would have spoiled my ballot paper because I was a Labour voter. But after seeing, how they have treated us locally with complete disrespect and disdain, the self-interest is really blatant. Also, the career interest of the leader of the council, who only turns up for canvassing or for a photo op at the Gurdwara. These people don't deserve to have the title public servant. They are not. And whatever happens, Joe, Rashpal, I know Sufyan's left, and Amrik, and all the other councillors who are running under the independence banner, you are actually standing up for change. And it has to start somewhere, and it's starting now. In actual fact, we can take it back to a year ago when it took one person to say, you know, there has to be change. I've set up the independents, and people were drawn to this political party. And it's like a video I saw about somebody at a festival, and they were the only person standing up dancing. Then somebody else joined, and then somebody else joined. And pretty soon there was a crowd dancing. So it will happen. And I think it's inevitable, because when you neglect a community, when you oppress them, they will rise up. And when you look at the young people, and they are educated, I'm not saying adults aren't, but they are very savvy to what is going on. You know, I look at my girls, and they heard what Joe had to say at the hustings recently, and they saw how he was disrespected by the Labour candidates. They said in a heartbeat, Joe is for the people. He speaks from the heart. And they were well aware of the disdain shown by one councillor in particular. So change is going to happen, whether it's this election or another election. As long as Labour continue to do nothing, and even less than what they are already doing, they are shaping their own destiny, that eventually, if it's not this time around, they will be ousted. Because, you know, I turned up to a surgery one winter's evening. It was cold. Somebody else did. Not one of the 3 Southall Green councillors turned up. Yeah. We also went door knocking as cash a few years ago, and people at that time were saying, the Labour council is not doing anything for me. They're not listening. So, yeah, people are starting to rise up, you know, are talking, you know, Joe's video at the hustings. I didn't really promote it. I think I put it on Facebook and Twitter, but I didn't keep repeatedly post about it. Over 500 people have seen that, and they connect. Yeah. So I'm kind of like conscious of the time, because we normally wrap up at 9 o'clock.
It's 1 to 9.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything that they want to contribute to this forum? Because obviously it's the very last forum before the election on May the 5th. I mean, I want to say, you know, I'm excited by what's happening. I sense that people want change. I sense that people realise that Labour are not doing all that they can for the people. So, you know, you have my support. And I think what's quite interesting, you know, the way that we have collaborated, and just to talk very, very quickly about the gasworks, and I have to thank Joe for making sure there was a very good turnout to the meeting with the university scientists. And I also have to show my appreciation that he is coordinating, taking them around the vicinity of the gasworks and enabling them to get the soil samples that they want to test for heavy metals and carbons and whatnot. But Joe, Rashpal, don't know if there's anybody else. Happy, sorry, Happy, I forgot Happy. Is there anything you want to say, standing for Ealing Independence before the election? Is there anything you want to communicate to our community? Emma, can you turn that off, please? Or turn it down? Sorry, I'm
Happy, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, Happy. Sorry, Happy.
If the police ever stop you, you should always quote the Police and Criminal and Evidence Act 1984 and the Codes of Conduct ABCD. There are rules by which they can stop and search people. They can't just do what they want. They need to tell you who they are and why they're stopping you, and they need to caution you before they arrest you. Also, if a police officer doesn't do their job, as far as I'm concerned, they are doing what is called perverting the course of justice, which is a criminal offence. And let's take our rights back, and love and truth for everybody, and let's make it a better world. You know, I don't hate anybody. Good luck to Labour. Good luck to the police. But we can make the world a wonderful place for everyone. It can be win-win, win-win. Thank you. That's it.
Well said.
Angela, the information.
Joe, do you want to say anything before we finish?
Yeah, the information I want to give is, this is from within. They're panicking. Okay, so we might get a lot of good news on the 5th of May. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's look. Why not? Listen, I want everyone to encourage the younger generation who don't bother voting to vote, because their vote counts. It's about what they don't realize is, as councillors, you have a significant power if you're doing your job properly. So they've come to an idea where they think, oh, nothing's been done, because Labour's had the monopoly for the last 50 years and they've gone in the wrong direction. I think it wouldn't, if it was Conservatives or the Liberal Democrats and it was the same party, people have started abusing their position for profit. As they say, money, you know, once you get into the disease of money, millions ain't enough. You want billions. It's that kind of disease they're on. But I appreciate all the good work that the Ealing Network has done. And I want at least one councillor to be in there. Maybe all 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Rushpal, do you want to say anything to Southall Broadway Ward?
I would like to say to people, you know, they have to choose for themselves now. You know, it's been too long, and now is the time to support us. You know, then we can support them back. You know, and we would love to work for them and for ourselves, because it's not the good way they are presenting us. And we are suffering, and if it continues, and it won't help anybody, you know. We have to make sure we vote the what is right for us, you know, on that day.
Very well said, Rushpal. And I know you've had some really good conversations with people on the street who believe in your integrity, believe in your honesty and your desire for Southall to be better for all of us.
I met so many people, you know, everywhere, all over, like all over my ward, and they got too many concerns. You know, I already witnessed so many things, and I'm just involved in this, you know, and it's I have personally, you know, suffered my life for a long time now, and I am concerned about this, you know. And I used to vote Labour, but not anymore. I will be voting Mr. Joe.
Very
vote
well
yourself. You'll have to vote for yourself.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I will help this independent party. I would like everyone to have. I would like to, you know, everyone to, you know, support them, you know, support everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right,
David, Sufyan and Amrik in Southall Green, they have my votes. So I'm really excited to actually go to the polling station on 5th of May and put my crosses by their name. Can't wait.
Just a quick one.
Exciting times ahead, yeah.
Obviously, given an update regarding the Nagpal sisters. Obviously, we all know about what's come up with is which people have actually brought up a lot of situations regarding them. So obviously we do know that one of them has slept with a teacher. We know that one of them has assaulted another candidate in her own party and all that. When we posted it up, it obviously got a lot of attention, especially all of them got a lot of attention. They reported it, and it went into the whole thing with Instagram. It went on Facebook that they reported it. We posted it to them on Twitter and started boycotting their Twitter page. Now the younger sister has now deleted and made sure that no one can actually write on her Instagram.
Well, she's
sorry,
turned
on
off the
her
commenting,
Twitter.
hasn't she?
Yeah, no, she hasn't turned off the commenting. She
Mm.
only tags certain individuals. So
Oh, I got
only
you.
those certain individuals can only reply back.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that she's done. She's done it. She's very, very
Censorship,
sneaky.
yeah.
Exactly. So she's only getting the good, positive things, only the people who are tagging, who she's requested to be tagged in. So what I've been seeing, and I've been really focusing on how they're doing their campaigns, they have been advertising their campaigns as showing as a group. What you guys need to do is what I would say is do the same thing, but in a higher
Exactly.
scale.
You're 100% right.
Right? You guys are doing it well. I'm not saying that you're not doing it well. You are doing it well, but you have the opportunity right now to do much, much better.
Yeah.
Right now, you're at the last few days. If you really, really go full 100% overdrive on everything, everything, even, the coffee house outside the Green Park, put a couple of leaflets, just attach it to the window. Let them be there, the windows. Put them in the letter boxes. Put them on the phone boxes.
I got you. Work
there.
hasn't been done until.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you. I understand where you're coming from. Social media started a bit. The leaflets have been done, but follow-up work has to be done. It's not going to, for the candidates, it's not easy, right?
Do you know what? Go to Poundland, and do you know those wallpaper pastes? Get a couple of them, put it on a poster, whack it onto a window over a letterbox or anything. Put it on a bus stop. Letterboxes, train stations, they're the first things people will see, and you need to make sure they're the first thing they always see. Do you know what you should do as well? Put it in the middle of the Southall, the new green bullshit thing that Berkeley's done. But in front of their little
the old graffiti, protest graffiti that used to be common in the 70s, 80s.
Do you know that big Q, the quarterly, green, the big
green
Q
quarter sign? This with this.
Put the leaflets in there. Put it in there and take a picture saying, this is us, and you've just literally got all your logos everywhere on it. And they'll be like, what the hell? This is something completely different. No one's ever done something like this. If you go to these local shops, these local ones, they will go definitely. News agents will go for it. At the moment, Virendra Sharma is going for charities. That's all he's doing. He's going to charity organizations, getting a photo opportunity, and that's about it. All you've got from the rest of them are they're walking around, taking a picture of a group, and then they're going to fuck off. Yeah, and
Did you see the one they done? Did you see the one they done outside the Creams? It was sent out at 5:30 in the morning. There's no one around, no one's even woken up. They don't want to meet the public.
Yeah, they don't.
I think a lot of people realise that it is propaganda, and they are manipulating, because we know in Southall, we know what the Broadway's like. We've seen the dirty bins, we've seen the rubbish circulating, and so on and so forth. But Southall, name shame, you're right, more can be done. And I don't think the Ealing Independent Network are going to slack off. They've got a few days to go, but they will be doing everything, to ensure that they keep raising the profile, answering residents' genuine concerns, and showing how they are different and will be different.
That's what I'm saying. There is so many opportunities. Right now, you're at the key point. At the last thing, that's what you want people to see as last thing is the things that they will vote for. They never vote for what they see first. It's like going to a shop. When you go to a shop, you buy the first item. But when you go to another item and you look at it, you think, well, hold on, I don't want the first item. I want the next one because the next one looks better. So if they always go for the last thing that can beat the first thing. So if you made yourself so much more vibrant to be out and about and to be seen, you've got it. You've got a very good, clear thing of winning this. What I also would like to do is I want to see if I can try and get
opportunity. Sorry, go on. Please go on.
what I was thinking is we need to figure out a way how to get those guys who are voting in the area. So those Labour candidates, the main one, we need to get every single one of them involved in something, because what we would like to do is probably the best way to do it is people are going to be undecided at the moment. There needs to be some sort of live debate just before it kicks off. Like literally just a couple of days before. Like literally, people at Southall Town Hall, everyone goes to Southall Town Hall, Labour, Conservatives, the Ealing Independent. You guys be up there and you literally be proud about what you say. You stop everyone, you do it. You get everything out and about over there, you will start something. You need to have someone to go, right, stop, listen to what I'm saying. This is how I should be doing it. This is how Ealing and Southall should be run. They should be just, do you know how it should really happen? On the same day, in every single location area, someone should be stopping from Ealing Independence in one location. So you've got the guys in the green, go to the green, go to the Manor House, stand outside Manor House, do a thing. When someone in Southall Broadway, go to Town Hall, do it at Southall Broadway. Exactly the same time.
Locations, yeah.
If you do it at every location at the same time, we are debating about the same issue. Every single one of them will be like, you'll see that one person will get on a bus from Southall Broadway, see you guys there, but then next you know, see you guys at Ealing. I mean, Ealing, or see you guys at Manor House.
Yeah. Much to be done, definitely, and we can't just do it on social media. We've got to be on the streets as well. Unfortunately, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap things up because I've got to do the washing up, boring stuff like that, and get ready for work. But I just want to say good luck to the Ealing Independent Network. And, you know, we're not just an overnight sensation. You know, this has been in formation for a year now. And as Sophia actually said, this particular forum, bringing residents together to discuss all sorts of issues, this is actually our first anniversary. And it's not in a flash in the pan. Every month, the last Thursday of the month, we hold this forum. And, you know, sometimes, you know, there are very few of us. Other times, you know, there's quite a few of us attending. But it's about giving residents a voice, because Labour have denied our voice for so long. But I'm going to wrap it up now. So good luck, Ealing Indies, and to everybody, thank you for coming to a really interesting forum. Lots of issues discussed, from the NHS to the police. These conversations will continue. Rashpal, what do you want to say before we finish? I'm going to get you to unmute. Oh, it's bye. Oh, right. Okay, bye, Rashpal. Sorry. All right, all the best. Yeah, but obviously we've got lots of work to be doing. I'm sure I will see you over the bank holiday weekend. Take care for now. Good night, everybody.
All right, bye. Thank you for being such a nice host.
Good night.
Take it. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.